I've been going back through some footage that I've shot of paintings in progress. I don't have a whole lot. Um, Usually, this is something that I would do at request of a client, which was pretty unusual that anyone would ever ask for that. And occasionally, if it just occurred to me to set up and record before I got too far into a painting, which means I often miss the early steps, which is something I'm trying to correct with the new documentation that I'm doing. But for my older stuff, a lot of it starts kind of somewhere around the block-in stage, as this one does. And I'm not trying to talk about the technical process of creating this painting. I've done other videos where I get into, putting down shadow and highlights to build form and things like that. And I think that there's also like the story behind a piece is interesting. And in this piece, I think there's more to talk about there than with the more kind of like technical aspects of how the piece is made. I think it's more interesting to talk about why the piece was made. This was done as a promotional image for Reckless Deck, which is kind of like a creative exercise. It's this deck of cards that you draw prompts from the deck, and then you have to kind of like generate characters based on these visual cues. And I was having a conversation with the creator of Reckless Deck about how the same concepts apply to story, just something that we were talking about this, and I thought it was really interesting what he was saying about it. And so after having this discussion, he later contacted me to say that they were producing a new kind of expansion set called Psyche that he wanted me to make a promotional image for that was based on a lot of the things that he had told me about. And so initially I presented ideas to him for a piece that we both felt was interesting, but I think my memory of it, going back a couple years to when this took place, was that it was still just a little bit too surface. It was still too character designy and not enough about the psychology or personal emotional connection of the subject of the painting. So he asked that I go back again and come up with something that was a little bit more, just had that more personal touch to it. And that's not something that I normally get asked for with my commercial clients. And, I do personal work from time to time. Sometimes that personal work is more specific than others as far as being about a particular thing. A lot of the time, I like to just work from a mood. And when I have had ideas for specific topics to address, that's something that happens now and again. But for the most part, it starts more with just kind of like vibe and visual, like imagery, and then the meaning kind of evolves as I work on it. I don't remember specifically where this particular piece started, other than I had some general ideas that I had been exploring in other paintings, completely different from this, that had to do with the way that our food is so disconnected from how it's generated and produced and brought to us. And those paintings never really went anywhere. I never shared them. But it kind of was a place for me to just work out some of my own thoughts and feelings on this. And one of the things that really stuck with me was thinking about how we really protect ourselves from the consequences of our actions. And to be more specific in this example of food, this is not what this painting is about. This painting is not about food or factory farming or anything like that. It's about that way that we wall off our awareness from the consequences of the choices that we make. And oftentimes, the consequences of our choices are completely invisible, and we're very invested in keeping it that way. And this is something that, in this specific example of, for me personally, animal welfare, I've gone my whole life really kind of having some awareness of and choosing not to engage with that, often with the mindset that that's just the way it is, and so I had no motive to explore that any deeper. And when I was brought to kind of confront that, it was shocking to me how effectively I had really walled off my awareness from the consequences of choices that I make, and how effectively the world collaborates with us in doing that. Makes it so easy to be complicit in things that we don't want to be complicit in, and never have to confront that. And I also recognize that everybody has different layers of, we'll say privilege, that in my case, quite a bit of that privilege allowed me to do this, not just with food, but with all kinds of other things, all kinds of other ways that I was able to really protect myself from having to ever feel bad about being complicit in things that I would never choose consciously to do, but that benefit me. And so I'm incentivized in every way possible to just not question it and look the other way. That's really what this painting is about. The title of the painting is "The Head Can't Know What the Hand Has Done." And it's about that disconnect and that motivation to protect ourselves and to not look too closely and to not question and to not examine things that we just feel kind of resigned to as the way things are. And at the same time, we're contributing to harm in ways that we never would otherwise choose or want to do.